Thank you for being here. Welcome to this program of the University of Arkansas Small Business Technology and Development Center. We're so pleased to be able to bring you these educational tools to help support small businesses. If you don't know about the Small Business Development Center, it's a one-stop shop for startups and existing small businesses. We're associated with the University of Arkansas and affiliated with the statewide ASB, TDC, and SBA. We're also a part of a national network of more than 1,000 small business centers. Locally, we offer complimentary one-on-one consulting and programs covering the relevant topics for business owners. And if you're not already a client, we encourage you to visit us at the website on the slide, which is sbtdc.uark.edu, and then click Get a Consultation. Or also feel free to email us at sbdc.uark.edu. I'm Allyson Malone, and I'm one of the consultants with the ASB TDC, and I really focus on all things people and human resources. So that will be one of our topics for today. Okay. So our question to kick us off this afternoon or today really is, do I need to hire an employee? And if I do need to hire an employee, am I looking at a contractor or an employee? And really, what is the difference between what are some of the differences? So basically, what an independent contractor is, it is someone who provides outsourced work on a project-by-project basis. This gives the employer some specific expertise as needed. For example, me. I provide HR support, and I do that in most cases as an independent contractor. Other examples of potential independent contractors could be a web designer, some accounting assistants, or maybe you need someone to just run your social media campaigns for you. Generally, independent contractors own their own businesses and have many clients. They're given a particular project, but not specific directions or tools on how to complete the project at hand. For example, if you hire a plumber, which is a perfect example of an independent contractor, to fix a broken sink, you do not hire a plumber and tell him or her what time to come, what tools they're going to need to fix the job, and how long the job's going to take. They own their own companies, they bring their own tools, and they come and fix the problem at hand and send you a bill for it. That is a perfect example of an independent contractor. So if you need some assistance like this and you don't feel like you need so much help that it would be a full or part-time employee, or if you need 3 or 4 different kinds of help like HR, accounting, web assistance, consider hiring independent contractors for those. So how do I find help? Let's first really cover job postings and how that's different from a job description, where we might post some of these positions, and all those kinds of questions. First and foremost, I would say for junior level positions in many of our small businesses, again, this could depend and vary on role and industry. You might have really good luck posting and finding your ideal candidates on Craigslist, Indeed, or really, or Facebook in some cases, or your company's website's job page, or your company's social media, your Facebook page, your Instagram page, and in some cases, LinkedIn might be the right place. If it's a more senior role, LinkedIn might be an answer for you. Ask yourself questions like, is my ideal next employee perhaps a client or customer? If so, the place to find that person might be on your company's own website. Anyway, the other thing you might want to do is consider asking some of your best customers who they know for your open positions. In terms of the actual job posting itself, it's really important to be clear and concise with the job postings so that the candidate knows exactly what the role is that he or she is applying for. The whole point of the job posting is to attract your right next hire, to attract your ideal candidates. So it's critically important to be honest and open with the details of the job and with the details about your company. One suggestion might be to try putting yourself in the job seeker's shoes as you're writing your job post. What might they be thinking or feeling, or what might they be searching for? You want to write your job post in such a way that your company culture really shines through. This job post is an opportunity to show job seekers how your organization is different than all the other postings and jobs that are available. Why should the candidate select you and come to work for you or to apply for your position? So if your company culture is fun, is it collaborative, is it competitive, find a way to get that across in your job posting. A job posting should not be boring. The job posting is different than your job description. The job posting is a marketing tool to attract clients, to attract candidates, and it is not a carbon copy of the job description. I'm going to say that one more time. Your job posting is not a carbon copy of your job description. The job description is a place to start your posting, but again, it's a very different purpose and it will probably have a different tone and feel. Think of your job posting as a way to market your company and to market the open position. It is hugely important. You also want to give candidates a very real picture of what they'll be doing day in, day out. If you've got phones in your business that are ringing off the hook, and it's important to explain that to potential candidates. If it's quiet, explain that. If it's busy, fast-paced, be honest. I think the worst case scenario is that somebody comes in and joins your organization, and after a couple days, they say, whew, this is not at all what I thought the job was going to be. So honest, concise, and let your culture shine through. Okay, how do I pick the best candidates? Some interviewing do's and don'ts and some interviewing tips. Questions to avoid, questions to ask. Really, the first thing I would suggest is to use your job description and or your job posting as a jumping off point. You can ask questions that relate back to the items that are listed on the job description. It's critical that you ask candidates questions that are important to the role and important to the organization. I would start off really simply and to just ask why the person wants the job. What do they know about your organization? It will be a good test to see if they've done any homework at all. I always think a nice icebreaker question is just simply to start with just tell me something about yourself or tell me about yourself. It's a nice way to break the ice, and it's good to see what types of communication skills this candidate has. If the person you're interviewing asks you what your company does or what the job is all about, that's a big red flag that they have not read what you've posted, they've not done any Google searching or anything at all, and they've done no homework, and it might be a good indication that they're not going to do a heck of a lot of work if they were to get the job and get started. So I might beware of someone that has appears to have done no homework whatsoever. I think another way to think about questions to ask during an interview is to think about the person who currently has the job or who has been successful in the role in the past. And if you could list out the attributes that have led to success, these are the things you want to ask about. Is the key person who's been successful before flexible, reliable? Does that person take initiative? Are they a great communicator? Maybe they figure things out on their own, and on and on. So once you know the attributes and the skills for success that have led to success in the past, then ask interview questions to get at those attributes. I think really before I close this, my number one tip about interviewing is really all about how you treat the candidates. I think it's critically important to treat candidates during an interview process the way in which you would want to be treated. Be open and honest about the steps in the process, the timing, what follow-up will look like. My best advice is for anyone you have brought in for an interview, and maybe the interview is over Zoom, if you're not doing in-person interviews or what have you, is to, if you've talked to the person more than a phone call, my best advice is to pick up the phone and be back in touch with them with a yes or a no. Don't send an email telling them that they haven't gotten the job if they've come in for an interview. For those that just sent a resume in, it's fine to follow up on email alone. And I would suggest doing that in a real timely manner. many of us have applied for positions and felt like our resumes and applications have kind of gone into that black hole. So I feel like if you just do one thing based on this video and this slide, as you're hiring people, is to tell them the process and then follow what you say you're going to do and have good, open, honest communication as quickly as possible. If your interview process gets stalled and it takes longer than you think, follow up with them and let them know that. And think back to times maybe where you haven't been called back, or you haven't heard anything about your resume and how poorly that feels. So my best advice is to not do that. Okay. Helping to ensure success on day one, and even sometimes before day one. So let's start with the offer letter. I send an offer letter. Even if you have a small and relatively informal organization, I highly recommend sending an offer letter, and it can serve as a way to formalize the job, the pay, the role, the hours, just the basics. And it also honestly can serve as just a nice welcome to the organization and to let the person know you truly are excited to have him or her on board. There's many small businesses that don't do an offer letter, so I say stand above the masses. The other thing I would say about offer letters and pretty much anything is to be consistent. If you're writing offer letters, do it for everybody. Create an offer letter for all positions, or at least everybody who has a similar type of a role. Again, this could depend upon the size and formality of your company. It could be, if you are a pretty small, pretty informal company, maybe an offer letter doesn't make sense, but all the content you would put in a traditional offer letter could go in an email communication to outline the specifics of the job and to serve as a nice welcome. It's just part of being a clear communicator. Okay, reference checks. It is really up to the various businesses whether or not they find it worthwhile to do reference checks. Some folks say it's difficult to get much more than dates of employment and salary confirmation from a reference check. But I think the key is if you're going to do reference checks, do them consistently. If you don't do reference checks, don't do them for anybody. And that really is sort of the rule of thumb on reference checks. And then last but not least, I think it's really critical to be ready for your employee on day one. This can be called onboarding. If you all have ever started a job where you felt like nobody knew you were going to be there on the day they told you to show up, that's why you have a specific and clear onboarding set of topics. It's really the employee's first glimpse at what the rest of their job is going to be like. So for the best chance of success, my advice really is to welcome the new employee and more than anything, be prepared for his or her arrival. So what does that mean? That means preparing in the way that demonstrates that you knew they were showing up, that you have at least the morning of their day planned out in detail. That's maybe meetings, probably filling out that HR paperwork, meeting with people that they need to meet with. And that if they have some sort of a workstation, that there is a phone if there's supposed to be one, or a laptop or a computer, or whatever tools they need to do their job. And the other thing that I think is really important with welcoming and a successful onboarding is to tell your current employees when you're bringing someone new on as soon as possible. I think the biggest failures I see in onboarding are just when companies appear to be surprised or unprepared that the new employee is starting and they haven't prepared with any kind of basic training, meetings, supplies. It's the first impression, and it's very hard to recover from in the employee's eyes if you mess that up and don't seem prepared. I've had many an experience where I've started a job and there wasn't a desk, there was no computer. Sometimes the person who hired me was gone on a business trip or gone on vacation. And that's, these are things I remember too many years ago and still recall them. So critically important. For joining us, and we hope this video was helpful. You can find more videos like this by putting sbtdc.uark.edu in your browser or connecting using the QR code on the screen. You'll also find a full listing of our events and educational programming. Our toolbox has valuable and timely information and access to other recordings of our webinars and workshops. Again, thank you for your time today. We sure appreciate it.